Hey everybody, happy Monday. I hope you are doing fantastic today. This is Anna Sabramowicz, and I am here to talk to you about scenarios. Now, if you want to learn more about the work that I do and the frameworks that I use to design my work, go to scenariodesignsecrets.com, and there you'll get a free training video about just basically the work that I've been doing and how I've been basically refining what I do so I have a very awesome system for doing this every day, all day, nonstop, right? Designing great scenarios. So today's video is really what I wanted to do is talk about the fact that I had a wonderful session last week with one of my clients, and one of the questions that she had and things she's struggling with is something that I've struggled with and something that I think that a lot of you struggle with, maybe, and then this might be helpful for you. So what we were talking about is we're working together to launch her scenario, right? So I'm her guide on the side, right? And I'm also the person giving her feedback on her progress and how she's doing. And one of the things that she's really struggling with right now, she said, I did all this, we did all this analysis, we explored our audiences, we made sure that the right person is being targeted for this training that we're designing. And we're very clear on the things that we want them to be able to do and achieve and think about almost at the very end. But she said, but then I said, we're going to do scenarios. And every time I bring up that word at my company, everybody gets all anxious, and basically I just got shot down by my boss. And I thought, okay, and this person is somebody who is just a joy to work with, and there's several characteristics that usually make somebody a joy to work with in my business. One, they love to learn. They're like a sponge. Two, they're super enthusiastic, like they get good energy. And three, and this one is actually quite rare, it's the kind of person who will actually, when you tell them something, they'll be like, okay, I'll try it. Like whatever advice you give them, they'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Like fearless, right? But when it comes to this, she'll just be pitching these ideas and she just feels like she's coming up against this wall, right? And I remember when I first started at this one organization, which shall remain unnamed, I had a boss who was very resistant to new ideas, and I only later realized that. Let me tell you what happened. So I had this idea. And it wasn't just it didn't just come out of my head. I had been doing some research and decided that there was a best way for us to go with this training. And I had some ideas because I'm basically a very curious person. So I had been looking at online and all these communities of what was available out there that we could incorporate into our training. And I thought our stuff was a little bit 1980s, right? So then I just, and this wasn't just this one time, I kept on suggesting ideas and throwing them out there. And I was like, what about this? What about this? And to be honest with you, after a while, I felt like it wasn't that this person, I took it really personally, to be honest. I started thinking that it was something about my credibility, something about my personality, something about my ideas. And when you're faced with something like that and you have that perspective, it's hard. I'd go home and I'd think about that. I'd go home and think about how I could do things better, and obviously talk to my husband about what I was doing and how I could do it differently, what was wrong with my ideas. And I then later, and this was after I left the job, I realized that it was not a personal thing in any way. In fact, what it was is that, and this is the reality of, because it's funny, because you go to sometimes you get a job, you get a new job, and you think, yeah, this is going to be different. People are going to be different here. And it's not that people are not different, because they are, but there are some common elements in our universe that will simply remain. And one of them is resistance to change. So one of the things that happens is when you're pitching your ideas, unless you're in front of the dragons, in the dragon's den, and they're there to for you to pitch their ideas to them. Everybody else is always thinking about, well, first they're thinking about themselves, right? One of the things they're thinking about is this going to be hard for me to do? Like, let's say I come in and I'm like, hey, let's do scenarios for this one. And I'm the scenario expert, and this person that I'm pitching this to, let's say my boss, has no clue what I'm talking about. Or they have an idea, but it's so big. Like, they might have like their perspective, like, when you say e-learning and people have all these like ideas about what that really is. Well, when you say the word scenario or interactive episode, that might just freak somebody out, because they maybe have seen something that they think is a scenario and it is like way beyond what you're able to do in your work, right, in your department. Or they have no clue what you're talking about, and this is intimidating. Or the way that you've presented it makes them feel like, hey, I made all these other decisions about how our learning should be. Are you telling me I was wrong, right? All this time, are you telling me my stuff is boring that I made decisions on? And I felt after I revisited that lesson, and it was a very hard lesson to revisit, because I just felt like the world was against me and I needed to, somehow get into a place that was open to new ideas. But really, I realized that it wasn't about me. It was about that person's worry about, are we going to be able to deliver what people expect us to deliver? Is this going to derail us? Are we like, a lot of places are allotted a budget every year. Are we going to be able to get our budget back if this flops, right? What if we won't get the support that we need? So there's so many other things out there that are impacting that person's decision. But in that moment, when you're just really so excited about it and it means so much to you, it's very hard to understand all of that, to understand the concept of like the really big picture, right? So after I had this conversation with my client, she said, okay, so what do you want me to do then? And I said, don't mention scenarios at all. She goes, well, okay, so you want me to just tell them what? And I said, tell them you're going to design something and you'll show it to them in a week. You'll give them a prototype. So she said, okay, which is fantastic, because I don't know the outcome yet, and it's not like everything's going to be roses, right? But one of the things that happens is, now nobody is going to have any ideas about, maybe preset ideas about what she's going to deliver. They're going to be expecting something that will reflect the context and the what she's actually going to be doing. So she doesn't have to bring up any of those magic words like scenario or interactive episode. She doesn't. All she has to do is make sure that the system that she's using to interview the SMEs, and this is something that I've developed over the years, that's very tight, that is really aligned with your scenario framework, that once you've got that down, the output is going to be so useful and so contextual, it never will it be a waste. So the work that you're doing, and because you're quickly prototyping, it's not going to be like so much work that you're going to be afraid to get feedback or afraid to even pitch it, because it's not going to be that much effort. It's actually going to be a very simple process that then is going to generate for you so much goodness as far as the great info, that it's never going to be a waste. So even if they're like, we don't really like these really awesome contextual questions that you've just come up with in a week, wow, that's really fast and awesome, you can still use that stuff. That's basically the idea. So now the other thing I want you to consider is that one of the things that I get to do with my clients is I get to look at work with them that I understand and that they understand. And because I understand it, because we're working on it together, I'm able to give very targeted feedback on their work. Because a lot of times what happens is you have a design, you have your script, and somebody can look at it and be like, yeah, it looks good, sounds good. They have no idea. They're not in that world, right? So one of the things you can do to take your basically your craft to the next level is to work with me directly. So underneath the video, I'll put a link. It's scenariodesignSecrets.com/schedule. And what this does is it gives you a link directly to book a session, a strategy session with me. Now, during these sessions, what I do is I really just go into the, it's basically me asking you a whole bunch of questions about how you design your interventions. What are your specific gaps so that we can fill them? And then at that point, what you can do is you can decide if this is something that we can work on together, because the only way you're going to get really good at this is to go all in and invest the time in yourself to actually get it done. Because there's a lot of people out there who just dabble. There's a lot of people out there who suffer needlessly because they're just dabbling little pieces here and there instead of going full in, getting awesome, and then coming out and actually having the confidence that they've designed something awesome, gotten the feedback, and actually now have a demo that, if needed, you can show to whoever is interested and whoever is resistant. But in the meantime, to actually get good at this stuff, you have to go all in. Dabbling is what everybody else does. If you're serious about scenarios, if you're serious about creating things that actually are super context heavy and relevant to your learners, and actually have so many awesome applications as far as how you can just basically now have this awesome new tool in your toolbox, which is very rare as far as I'm concerned. Everybody talks about all this stuff, scenario design and learning design, but as you know, most people have no clue. They not only don't know how to do it, but also they don't know how to do it well. So if you want to get good at this, if you want to take your scenario design prowess to the next level, click the link, book a call, let's talk, and let's do this, okay? All right, have a wonderful rest of the Monday, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care, friend. Bye.